So welcome again. Thank you for joining us for the second day of our workshop of the project BETTEReHEALTH. My name is Konstantinos Antipas. I'm a researcher at SINTEF, but also coordinator of the EU-funded project BETTEReHEALTH that's organizing this very interesting, we hope that's interesting for you, workshop. We had the first day yesterday of our international workshop, where we had very interesting presentations from WHO and Salim Mazabi-Surak regarding the digital health atlas and how it's been used and what its potential, which also gives potential for us to work with them with our registry for e-health solutions that we're making in Africa, but also for the registry of e-health policies. We also heard practical examples of how e-health is implemented by authorities and private hospitals in different countries. We also had an insight on how the interoperability standards and different policies are developed, for example, by the African CDC and the African Union. We had examples of how DHIS2 is used for antimicrobial resistance. But we also had examples of e-health in Norway, since the intention of the project is also to inspire collaboration between Europe and Africa. We also have a very interesting program today that Frederick Livens is going to present for us. Frederick?
Yes, indeed. Good morning, everyone. My name is Frederick Livens. I'm here in Belgium, part of the BETTEReHEALTH project through the company Livens Lankman, but I'm also involved in the International Society for Telemedicine and E-Health, just as Ostas is as well, and some of you in our audience today too. So welcome everybody. A practical note on the program for today. We have only just last evening received notice from our first speaker, Elos Lodzeni from Malawi, who is involved in the International Association of Patients Organizations, and who was going to make a presentation on the patient perspective in and around e-health. He has unfortunately taken ill, so he will not be able to join us today and present and do his presentation. That is, well, very unfortunate, of course, but we will make up for this in some of our upcoming events, as we mentioned yesterday as well. We will indeed be organizing a series of webinars starting in January, where we will focus on some specific topics around e-health, e-health in Africa, e-health collaboration, education policy, technical aspects, and so on, where we will also feature specific stakeholder groups, industry, education, healthcare providers, policy, ministerial panels, and so on. So that is coming up, and so that will definitely be an opportunity where we can feature and bring in Elos Lodzeni to make his presentation together with other users, patients, citizens, and to talk a bit more about the patient and the user perspective in e-health. So that's one change on today's program. The second one is that we will move first to the session on capacity building, training and education, where we have 3 speakers. And then after that session, we will have the intervention and the presentation from Andre Visser from DLA Piper in Africa, who will talk about some of their initiatives and information in telehealth, where they have indeed established a global telehealth guide, which provides an overview of telehealth regulations and legal aspects in various countries, and they're also already focusing or have some information on a number of countries in Africa, but they're also looking to expand that guide and include more information from more countries into the future. So that is also something where we can definitely, with the BETTEReHEALTH network, contribute together with all of you. So that presentation will come after the capacity building session, and then we still move on today as foreseen with a presentation from our colleagues at the SFAX Health Tech cluster. They will present what they are doing, and it's an interesting case study, I would say, around collaboration among the stakeholders with research partners, industry, education, even policymakers. So it's actually exactly what we're aiming for, to foster such collaboration within countries, across countries and regions, and even across continents. So we look forward to that presentation from SFAX. And I just would like to suggest that with the presentation from Elos Lotzeni not happening, that we also take the time right here before we move to the capacity building session to look at what we're trying to do with the registries that we also mentioned already yesterday, registries on e-health solutions and e-health policies, and also our BETTEReHEALTH regional hubs. I'm just going to quickly share the screen. Just a moment. There we go. This is actually what I was also showing yesterday, and I want to come back specifically to well, first of all, this slide, where indeed we talk about collecting and mapping resources. These are the registries that we were referring to, and that we are starting to set up, where we are listing and bringing together an overview of e-health solutions. So it's really the, let's say, the technical solutions, products, and so on, that that exist, that are out there, that are part of projects, of national and local initiatives, but also to a certain extent that are provided to the market by companies, by the industry. So we're gathering all that information, and this is obviously something we'll also open up and communicate about in the near future, so that we can also get input from you on these registries. And then the same thing with registries on policies, what is existing in terms of national e-health policies on how to implement e-health within countries, within certain regions and institutions, and so on. So those are two things we're setting up. And then the other one is here around establishing regional hubs. This is happening, and then they've already been quite active over the past year, where our partners in 4 African countries, Tunisia, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Malawi, are indeed bringing together within their regions, so not only within the countries that they are in, but also neighboring and surrounding countries, bringing together stakeholders through workshops, but obviously also through a lot of online activities and exchanges, to share knowledge and experience, practical experience. What have they implemented? How have they implemented it? What were some of the challenges in order to learn from each other and to be able to move the e-health implementation forward in a much better and faster way. And this is actually shown here. So these are the 4 countries in red that are partners and are leading those regional e-health hubs. And then you can see in the different colors the regions that and the countries that they cover. So we have representatives from these hubs here with us today. You can also contact us through this link on the project website to express your interest, to join their activities, to join their meetings, and so on. So we encourage you to do so. And then here you also see the webinars mentioned that will start as January. So we'll also keep you updated and informed on those activities. One other thing I would like to mention, because we did have, and we also have today with us, Salim Azabi Zurak from WHO, who is involved in the WHO Digital Health Atlas, which is also bringing together, you know, a list and compiling initiatives in e-health, in telehealth. So this is something we will also collaborate with. But they are currently also mapping and trying to map, let's say, pain points and challenges in telehealth implementation. So with this, I would also like to let's say, express, and we will still share information about that through various channels of BETTEReHEALTH, newsletters, social media, and so on. But they are indeed looking for input into that work on telehealth challenges or implementation challenges. So for any of you who are directly dealing with telehealth services, telehealth implementation, and so on, think about that and get in touch with us so we can also direct you further to Salim and to the WHO. So I think with this, we can move forward and start our session on capacity building. Mohamed Jmael, our colleague from Tunisia, will just introduce the speakers and moderate the session. I encourage you all to also share your questions or comments in the through the chat window. And also through there's the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. There you can also put your questions to us and to all the speakers and the panelists. So Mohamed, with this, I will hand over to you.
Thank you, Frederic. First of all, I'd like to welcome you for this second day of our webinar about the BETTEReHEALTH project. My name is Mohamed Jmail. I'm professor, computer science professor at the University of Sfax and partner of the BETTEReHEALTH project. So I will moderate this session entitled Capacity Building, Training and Education. We have 3 presentations. The first one will be given by Dr. Bassam Aziz, the second by Bero Pikadi from Ethiopia, and the third one by Musa Issa from Ghana. So the first presentation is entitled Master of Science. It's about Master of Science in Digital Technologies for Healthcare. It is a Master of Science at the High Institute of Informatics and Multimedia of Sfax. I'm happy to welcome Dr. Bassam Aziz, who coordinates this Master Science program. So he is Associate Professor at the High Institute of Informatics and Multimedia of Sfax. So I give the floor to Bassem in order to present this Master of Science, and then we go further to the second and the third presentation. So Bassem, you have the floor.
Thank you, Professor Mohammed. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate this collaboration. So, first of all, I will start by during this presentation, we'll talk about the history of or the creation through the synergy between partners in the regional network, the SFAX regional network, to build such curricula and to provide to implement an interdisciplinary approach between technologists and health scientists. So actually, I'm Bassem Bouaziza, Associate Professor at Higher Institute of Computer Science and Multimedia, and Associate Researcher at Digital Research Center of SFAX, who is Professor Ismail the head. So, yeah, when we built this master, it is, I would say, one of the main measures implemented throughout the DID project. Why? Because of the we like it to implement an interdisciplinary approach to work for measurement of skills and for mainly for motor skills learning research, and to map them into their counterpart in the technology, which rely on brain activity and movement of performance. The idea is to bring the digital technology for healthcare and to build a strategy to collect data and then apply artificial intelligence tools or toolbox into to this data. So actually, we developed a pathway to support effort in Tunisia to enhance the digital technology in healthcare with a special focus on patients with low movement control and capacity mental stress level. So the main partner are, as I said, to build this master, because it is a consequence of a long-running reflection between Otto Wenger University at Germany and the University of SFAX from one side, and in cooperation with the Digital Research Center of SFAX and the DZNE, which is Neurodegenerative Disease Center. And the purpose was to develop this master that will be unique in Tunisia, entitled Digital Technology for Healthcare, which is already launched actually from 2020. And the objective is to apply digital device, sensor, motion, digital signal, and software in the context of digital data, and then work on the raw data. And the main focus will be to enhance physical and mental health. This master was really an interdisciplinary gateway, because from the first year we touched that new skills really are gained with the student, and the main idea is to bring the student researcher and teaching staff from different backgrounds, and this is what will create to foster the innovation in digital health throughout the clinical trials, mHealth technology, health analytics, the visualization, and so on. And why digital health technology? Why we choose this this line, of course, of development? This is sure it is included in the smart specialization strategy of the SFAX cluster health tech, and because we worked a lot with the techno park. There is with the research center, with the university, and several companies. Besides the digital health market growing, sure, we have to produce, we have to help young researcher or young innovator to put them in the right way to the market. And actually, I think the next few years there is really an explosion of the global market. According to Global Market Insight company, which published this study and says that there is several billion of dollars that should be spent on the digital technology. And SFAX Tech sure is one of the in SFACS Health Tech. It was one of the initiatives to foster the development of digital technology. Consequently, the overall objective of this master is to sustain and to spread out digital engineering in the field of health science at the institute and in the region of SFACS, and to develop jointly study and research with emerging needs. Actually, in there is several hospital, private health supplier, and so on that need really the skills in digital health technology. And the main concept was to construct this bridge between movement science, neuroscience, computer scientists empowered by artificial intelligence and signal processing on hopefully virtual reality if we got relevant equipment. Besides, we worked a lot on the internationalization and still working on at the institution in terms of scientist mobility, teaching, staff exchange, study abroad, and research cooperation, based on the already built regional network and international network to carry, of course, research in the field of mental and physical health through digital technology. And the approach was really to be included in the preventive, predictive, and personalized medicine, but with a more focus on the well-being and the preventive healthcare solution using technology. Besides, we worked a lot on we defined some cooperation to solve research challenge with industry, with integration of more technical training program, and implementing, of course, job-related education approaches. So the International Master of Science in Digital Technology for Healthcare was built 1 year ago, or 2 years ago, exactly. And the objective was to promote the job that we targeted our research in digital technology for healthcare, while exchanging experience on both sides in mental health and technology, e-health data analyst, e-health information system, and apps developer. The student have a bachelor degree in computer science or in health science, but we try to do this balance to put them together even for the during the running of the year. Actually, the number of students per year is 25 students, which are 13% from the local institute and 17% from the whole Tunisia. And this is really a challenge for us for the dissemination. And from the first year, we have this succeeded. We succeeded to reach an important number of applicant and the acceptance rate was about 28%. So the acceptance we defined the protocol for acceptance formula to be student and to be master student in digital health technology, based on the average of mark of last 3 years, the mark of English lectures, because the master is taught in English actually, and the student lecture, to get at least the best relevant profile to make success or to speed up or to foster the result of cooperation and the implementation of graduation project. So from the first year, we got 70 applications from several universities as SFACS, Monastir, Gabes, SUS, and so on. And all application was examined, of course, by commission, and while the acceptance rate is about 28%, as I said. So the main content of the curricula are composed of fundamental modules and transversal modules and optional modules. According to Bologna process, it was defined to gain or to simplify the mobility and the calculation of equivalence between modules. And we have, for example, for 2 main modules on technology at the beginning, which is advanced computing, including software programming and mobile apps development. Later, we have a special focus on artificial intelligence, and then the first semester, which is where we focus artificial intelligence with machine learning and deep learning. I mean, in 2 levels. For data engineering, we did a lot of effort, of course, for the data acquisition and signal processing, and later on motion analysis and 3D modeling. From a health perspective, we included physical activity and health science. So we have motor control and development, basics in neuroscience and physiology, and chronic disease prevention and intervention. These three submodules are given by a physician from the Faculty of Medicine of Tunis and Faculty of Sport and Technology in Sfax, and with the support, of course, of German colleague from Magdeburg, Otto von Guericke University. Later, also, we provide the modules related to competitive analysis, which is descriptive statistics and cloud for scientific data management, which is also a focus on data, on standard of data, and on the standardization of the process for collecting scientific data during a project. In the next term, I mean in the second term of this master, we have Advanced Computing 2, where we deal with medical imaging and sensor like EEG and EMG, data privacy, security and ethics, and data science and big data are included in the artificial intelligence 2 levels, while also including computer vision and pattern recognition. From electronical or electric and electronic engineering perspective, we integrated biomedical sensors, embedded system for health application, and for the bridge modules, we included sure mathematical modeling of control system and inferential statistics. Of course, for the second term, we insist to share or to learn from experience with industry or research center, and we involve a student for 1 month in internship that can be inside or outside of Tunisia. The third term and the last, another focus on artificial intelligence, or another window, but this time it is specific for health application. I mean, later for advancing computing, we work with a lot on motion control for health application, virtually augmented and virtually augmented reality. For research on physical and mental health, also performance analysis and individualized training, monitoring of physical performance and new trends in health and system, which is also belongs to advanced digital technology. The bridge module includes research methodology and design thinking, where also we targeted the creation of or to help the student to be well prepared to the labor market study, where it can be where the student can work or can build his own startup. For the final term, which start from January from the next year, the final project of the master thesis, which provide the credits also to get the master. So the internship, besides 1 month on company or research laboratory, where we work on defining or selecting interesting subject related to AI and machine learning, performance measurement of physical activities, computer vision, image processing, and application. This year, for example, we worked a lot. The previous year, we worked a lot on COVID-19 data analysis. Instead, yeah. I think I finished with this, with the presentation of this master, and hope to work or to find opportunities in expanding the regional and national network on digital health technology, while providing opportunities also for internships. Thank you.
So thank you, Bassem, for this presentation. It is very interesting. Actually, I don't see any question from the question and response field, Perhaps I ask you a question. So now you have how many students are in the? Yeah, I see Constance has a question. Perhaps I give the floor to Constance, and then I go back to you for one question.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry, but okay. I was very interested to see that you have was it 90% IT and 10% healthcare students from healthcare?
Yeah. Yes.
That's very interesting. Do you see any difference in the way they manage the progress in the master program, or do you have any different how can I say, different directions within the master for these two categories?
Absolutely. Right. Thank you for your question. Yeah, this is the challenge, because at the beginning the reflection was made between computer scientists that sometimes miss their understanding of the spec from physicians and vice versa. And the idea was to involve of 10%, and we are evaluating each year. So we started with 10% because there is several technological matter, but we planned in the optional modules that there is a specialization with people with, I mean, students from health science that can follow with a less amount of technology, and people from computer science with more technology but better understanding of health related topics or terminology. This is one of the main focus. But we are evaluating from the first year. We find that really there is, who comes from health science is someone who is, I mean, determined, and he knows what he do, right? And that's why we have even a physician that he is already executing his work, and he tried to gain again in technology, because really he is, I mean, he's skilled a lot on artificial intelligence, for example. I mean, exception are there. We have just to open the door and to build on them, and we are evaluating to maybe this ratio will be increased or updated based on the evolution of the evaluation of the master curriculum. Yeah.
Just a quick comment, if I have time, Mohammed.
Yes.
I think it's very important to also include people from health sciences. Personal experience from my master, which was involving both health sciences and computer sciences, is that the core learning there is very important. As you said, I'm a nurse, so and I wasn't like the most technologically how's it called, the most technological skills, but I had co-students, doctors, as you mentioned, that were at the level of the IT professionals in developing and understanding of technology. But working together, doing assignments together, studying together, not all the courses, some of them, gives a very important experience on how to learn how to work together. So it's very encouraging you have 10%. I hope next time we'll talk will be higher. But of course,
yeah, it's a news. It's just because of the influence of the new things. But yeah, sure.
Thank
Feedback
you for the interesting presentation.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you again, Bassem. I appreciate the fact that you are running this master together with a German university, Magdeburg. And yeah, my question is there any some courses given by German colleagues from the University of Marburg?
Yeah, yes, actually, and there is also internship, but it depends. Actually, we have five or six students that are running, that are following modules and related and physical performance measurement in Germany with the equipment. I think maybe I can have some photos, but already we have exchange and internship, and we have two modules already provided by German colleagues related on mental health from one side, and the equipment and the practical from practical perspective, there is a lab and equipment that help them to collect the data on the brain and movement and the balance master equipment.
Nice. Just one comment. We discussed it recently in our general meeting, the possibility to support some master students within the BETTEReHEALTH project. And I think your students are potential for our project if this will be decided to support them.
Yeah, thank you.
Other parts.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Okay, thank you, Bassem. I see that there is one question from the audience. Please, are students offered scholarship for this program?
Yes,
coming from the audience.
Yeah. Actually, we focus on because the project is ended this year. I mean, 2020. We are looking for new funding opportunity to finance the scholarship. I mean, the scholar. Maybe for the internship, there is some companies that can offer scholarship, but actually, from the Tunisian government, there is no scholarship for this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bassem. We move to the second presentation. It is about the journey of the health informatics program at University of Gondar. This presentation will be given by Beranu Fikadi, Assistant Professor at the Department of Health Informatics, Institute of Public Health, University of Gondar, Ethiopia. So, Beranu, you have the floor, please. Beranu, your mic is off. Yes, please.
Can you please stop the first presentation, everyone? Hello?
Yes, please.
Can you please stop your presentation? I cannot
yes,
share.
Yes. Yeah, please. You cannot share?
Maybe I have.
Could you stop your sharing because you are sharing the.
All right, already done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I am Branu from University of Gondar. I am an assistant professor at the Department of Health Informatics. So my presentation will be to the journey of the Health Informatics program at University of Gondar, Ethiopia. This program is the first basic program in East Africa, and it is the first at University of Gondar. And my outline is its history of the department, academic programs under this department, and the staff profiles and success stories to date. So the first one is the Master of Public Health Informatics program was started in 2007 in collaboration with NOMA project and with the University of Oslo. And as you have seen from this slide, these are some of the first graduates and Master of Public Health in Health Informatics. And the second program we have is basic degree in Health Informatics, because Ethiopia, the Ministry of Health of Ethiopia is envisioned to achieve the universal health coverage through digitizing the health system. So training of health information within the master program is not enough. So also the University of Gondar proposed a basic program, and then the assessment was conducted in 2011. Then the curriculum workshop, both internal and external, was finalized in 2011. Then the program was started in 2012, and as you have seen from this one, these are the first batch of the students. They are 26 in number. And the other program is PhD program in health public informatics, and the curriculum was developed in 2015. And a series of internal and external workshops was conducted. And there are some experts abroad and from universities in Ethiopia was participated, and the program was started in 2016. So we have around 4 programs, and the other programs post-basic PhD degree in health informatics. So we have a health innovation lab in Ethiopia, and established in 2015, and the vision is to be center of excellence in health innovation, research, education, using embedded approaches. So the health lab is involving the master's, PhD, as well as PhD students, and they are working in collaboration with academics as well as researchers in the departments. So, and also it is a center of excellence for health for the minister of the country, and as well as the regional health bureaus. And the health lab is selected as implementing science technical supports for World Health Organization. So these are also, and the department launched its regional data to academic. It is the first in history in Ethiopia, and it provides a series of trainings for the health workers, both internationally as well as locally, and it serves as a center of training for the ministry. And we have more than 13 partners. And if you are interested, you can also visit our websites for the health lab and for the academics. So academic programs, as I said, we have basic degree in health informatics. It's a 4-year program. Post-basic, basic degree in health informatics. It is used for those who has diploma for in health information technology. So if they want to upgrade their educational status, so they can choose these programs, and they can also develop their careers. And it is a 3-year program, and the other one is Master of Applications in Health Informatics. It is a 2-year program. So the course for each program is actually you can find from our website. And the other one is PhD in Public Health Informatics. It's a 4-year and plus program. So actually the program is a minimum of 4 years, and probably may be extended up to the student status. So the curriculum for each program was developed. The first one is need assessment was conducted across the country, and a series of internal and external workshop was conducted. And currently the curriculum is nationally harmonized, including during the curriculum development, Minister of Health, Minister of Education, and 10 universities in the country, as well as 2 health science colleges were involved. So currently the country has a harmonized curriculum for health informatics programs, especially for basic degree and post-basic programs. In terms of infrastructure, we have 5 computer labs with 150 computers. Also, the department serves as basic an introduction of health informatics for all health science students, including medicine. So we have 105 computers. We have 4 lecture rooms with equipped with smart boards, and the department provides an introduction of health informatics for all health science nurses of University of Gondar. So staff profile, we have PhD, Master of Applications, basic and diploma holders. So we have 1 associate professors. We have assistant professors to assistant professors who has a PhD degree, and those who have MPH and MSc. We have around 4 assistant professors, 14 lecturers, technical assistant 1. And basically, as the lecturer and technical assistants, we have 3 and 4. Totally, we have 32 staff at the department. So current number of students in the department and basic program, we have 53. A post-basic program, we have 43. master's program, we have 27, and we have 7 PhD students. Okay. These are what we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernard, for this presentation. It is very interesting. And yeah, I have a question. When you started your Excellence Hub or Excellence Center, this,
2015.
2015. Okay. I don't see any. Costas has a question. Please, Costas.
Probably these are the slides. Probably the number of graduates, the programs we have currently. The program was opened at 10 universities in the country and 2 health science colleges. Also, this is the quality assurance mechanism the department used. We have an international partnership with University of Oslo and University of Southeastern, and we have a student exchange programs. So 8 master students and 3 PhD students was traveled to Norway, and they were stayed for 6 and 3 months there. So we use this as quality assurance mechanisms, and it's a partnership. Thank you. Back to you.
You don't have now yet a PhD student that already defended their PhD thesis.
We have 1 PhD student. So if you look on these slides, we graduated. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, Constance, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you for the very interesting presentation. Your university is a partner of our project, and very important experiences regarding the curriculum capacity development. My question, I see that there's a large number of students graduating, and this is very good for e-health and improvement of e-health. But do you know, do you have any idea, or what is the job opportunities for your students, bachelor, master? Where do they work, and if there is like a market for them after they graduate?
Okay, thank you. So the first thing is the university is conducted an assessment, then there is a job opportunity. Even we conducted the human resource need of the country, specifically for health information systems. So the country needs around 50,000 for the coming 10 years. Even most of the health facilities have not HIA personnel or experts. So most of our graduates actually are recruited. So it's not a big problem till now. And this is the reason why we conduct a need assessment. Even the need assessment, including the recruitment opportunities or the job opportunities for the graduates.
Do you have any this need assessment? Do you have any insights from that? Any briefly you can mention?
Yes, of course, we had it. So even we conduct the recruitment rates for the graduates. So all of our graduates are actually recruited, and they are on work. So even for the coming 10 years, actually, if you see, currently the program is opened at 10 universities rather than at University of Gondar. It implies that the country needs more cadres of health informaticians for the coming 10 years to achieve the visions of the country.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mariano, for this very interesting presentation. So we move to the third and the last presentation in this session. It's about creating the appropriate regulatory environment for health implementation. This presentation will be given by Musa Issa, Deputy Director, National Information and Technology Agency, Ghana. So Musa, I welcome you. Thank you for accepting to join us. And yeah, please, you have the floor. Beranul, could you please stop sharing your screen? So Musa, you have the floor, and you can share your presentation.
I'm trying to share my presentation. Thank you so much for.
Yes, we see your screen and your presentation. Could you move to the first page?
Yes, I'm trying to move it. Okay. Good afternoon to you all. My name is Musa Issa from the National IT Agency in Ghana. We are trying to help create appropriate regulatory environment for e-health in Ghana. To help us undertake this activity, we look at the government's digitalization policy, which seeks to make ICT becomes a pervasive tool in our day-to-day activities. Whilst implementing this digitalization policy, we also are mindful or observe the challenges that we'll be facing in our digitalization drive, and by extension, the e-health implementation. And these challenges could come from technology, human resources, behavioral change management, and change management. Indeed, to surmount these challenges, we need to look at how we enforce compliance with the rules, regulations, and standards, and also monitor the level of technology adoption, which we have in place, the implementation process that will ensure quality of information technology, the best practice and standards, and also the right policies and laws produced to support regulating this environment. For instance, we have our ICT blueprint, ICT for accelerated development, which currently is under review and will soon be published, finalized and published. We also have an entity as NITA to regulate the digitalization space in Ghana with an Act 771. We also have Electronic Transaction Act, which establishes the ground rules for the players in the digital space. And then we have the Cyber Security Act, also regulate the cyber security activities, as well as the data protection to ensure that data capture, usage, storage are managed appropriately according to law. NITA is mandated by law to provide oversight in the implementation of technology among ministries, departments, and agencies. and regulate the ICT space. It is operating this under a section in the Act. The objective of setting the agency is to regulate the provision of ICTs, ensure the provision of quality information technology, to promote standard and efficiency, and to ensure high quality of service. These objects, in a nutshell, will enhance the implementation of e-health in Ghana, which we are collaborating with others to achieve that. This we cannot regulate, we don't see ourselves regulating the e-health environment alone or creating the appropriate environment for the regulation of the e-health environment. We do this together with other regulatory agencies who are also backed by law to operate in their area. For instance, we are collaborating with the National Communication Authority, regulator for the telecommunication sector in Ghana. We are also collaborating with Data Protection Commission to ensure that data use, personal data capture use management is done appropriately according to what the law says. This is very common within the e-health environment where patient profiles, personal data are used. We also collaborate with the Cyber Security Authority to manage cyber security activities within the e-health ecosystem, as well as collaborating with HEFRA, health facility regulatory agency in Ghana to regulate e-health in Ghana. I think I have a, can you see my slide?
Yeah, the page is empty when we don't see any document, any picture, or any writing on this page. Oh, only okay. The title. Yes. Now, yes, we see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please continue.
Now, I think this is what follows earlier slide that you couldn't see. We are taking certain actions in order that we will be able to regulate the e-health environment effectively. And these are 3 areas that we are looking at. And above all, these 3 areas define how interoperable the e-health implementation should be. First, we look at people. Here we have, we try to train, ensure that the providers in the digital ecosystem have enough skills, knowledge, and temperament to be able to do their work. For instance, are they complying with the basic personal data issues? Ensure that the right people are doing the right thing, the right job that they have assigned to do. We also make sure that we have registered data controllers and data processors to help curb whatever issue may arise out of use of personal data. We are also trying to ensure that IT managers have the appropriate skill or competence to do their work. We don't want to see that IT manager managerial role is being performed by somebody who is not competent in doing that work. So the right people must be put in place to do the right job. And we enforce governance in this regard. We are registering IT professionals to operate in this ecosystem. And by extension, we are trying to make sure that the right people do their job to enhance the efficiency of e-health implementation in Ghana. We are also registering IT companies who in one way or the other provide support services to make meaning of our the object of setting up the agency, ensure that we have quality ICTs and then better quality of service. Processes. In creating an interoperable environment, we have put in place, we have developed standard documents, standard IT governance standard, IT application standard, IT network standard, security standard, data center standard, a whole lot of standards, which MDAs are obliged to comply. And to do that, we have trained them so that they will be proficient in what they do, according to the standard that has been set. And that standard will create an interoperable, seamless environment when undertaking your EF activities. Whether you are in the city or you are in the rural areas, you still have the same processes to comply with. And we have interoperability standards to address interoperability issues. And these standards, this standard is presently being updated, and it will, by close of the month, it will be completed and published for all to use. Again, to ensure strategic alignment and governance, we undertake IT audit. And this IT audit will address challenges that will hamper the smooth implementation of e-health in Ghana. Technology is an important component in our regulatory activities. We have made available our facility. We have a 3 data center, and we have hosting facilities for e-health uptake implementation in Ghana. We have put in place IT systems to address security. We are implementing system backup and business continuity, since e-health operation is a 24-hour service. Therefore, you must have a robust system, backup system, and business continuity in place to undertake that activity. We are collaborating with other players to provide high-speed internet access across the country. We have infrastructure that will help us achieve this purpose. And we are also ensuring that the right procurement of ICT equipment and devices are in place. And we check these things through our periodic monitoring and audit activities. Yes, technology. It is an important goal of ours to ensure that there is a healthy interaction within the ecosystem. and also to ensure security, authenticity, and then integrity of our online activities for tools like electronic management system, document management system. We have doctor-patient portals, medical diagnosis system, and other systems like referral, tracking, computer providers, online support, and all these. And these are technology that we are ensuring that, yes, they inure benefit to us whilst looking at security, authenticity, credibility, and all those things to help us achieve our goal. To conclude, NITA, we recognize that the e-health, for the e-health to grow in scope, along with improved quality assurance of e-services, we need to have one, strategy for continuous improvement, not necessarily some 9-day wonder, then we go to sleep. No, we must have strategy that will continue, strategy for continuous improvement to enhance and produce what services that we need. Also, create an interoperable environment that has to do with people, processes, and technology, that these are standardized and operate seamlessly. We don't want silo and implementation where systems will not talk to one another. Processes are disjointed. No. Therefore, we also monitor for compliance our interoperability standard documents, whether they are in line with what has been given for them to do. We also ensure that information technology and systems are interconnected to promote, to ensure information sharing, record sharing, data sharing among entities or providers in the e-health ecosystem, doctors and pharmacy, labs, and the rest. This is one of the most important aspects that e-health, to achieve a successful implementation, must be present. Above all, we also make sure that players in the system, ecosystem, e-health ecosystem, comply with the rules, the laws, the standards, and best practice to enhance operational compliance, legal compliance, regulatory compliance, to achieve the purpose of implementing e-health. And we believe when these things are considered, Ghana will succeed in our e-health implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Musa, for this presentation. That is what we hope, that Ghana will succeed the e-health implementation. I'm really impressed by your organization, by the activities, by the set of services you are providing to the ecosystem, e-health ecosystem in your country. So from definition of standards, regulatory texts, and audit, support services, IT support services, all these you are doing this. I appreciate it. I wish you very all success in your mission. I don't see questions in the question response field or zone. Perhaps I will ask you one or two questions. Did you think about certifying IT services or e-health services, e-health application in your country? So your organization is defining the set of regulatory texts, protecting privacy, data, and so on, security. You're making audit and so on. Are you certifying the IT services or e-health applications in your country? There is kind of certification given to IT company developing e-health applications.
Yes, it's part of our mandate, but going forward, we are going to add those to our portfolio. We haven't started yet, but it's part of our mandate. We are preparing to start certifying even equipment and IT services within that ecosystem. Yes, we are preparing to do that. We are putting in place the necessary capacity and capabilities to undertake such activities. But for now, we haven't done that before, but it's part of our plans and strategy to ensure that we certify service providers, we certify even devices and equipment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your answer. Just another question about the standards you are defining. Are you collaborating with international standards or standarding organizations when you define standards related to health data and related to IT services? Are you collaborating in this, or are you based on international standards, and are you collaborating with standard organizations in this field?
Yes, both ways. We are collaborating with the national standard setting authority, as well as using international standards and best practice. We, in most cases, we are not reinventing the wheel. So these are some of the standard we are operating with: international best practice, ISO standards or international standards, and then frameworks and best practice. And we do this with our standard authority, which is a national standard setting institute authority.
We have a question from one of the participants, Wanda. The question is saying, is there a monitoring and evaluation framework for all these efforts, such as the planet certification in place, for example? If yes, what is the role of other stakeholders in this? So please.
Yes, we have a monitoring and evaluation department, and they do this activity. They undertake these activities. Indeed, as I said earlier, I said we cannot regulate this environment alone. We collaborate with other agencies or institutions relevant to e-health to regulate the environment. I mentioned some of the institutions like the NCA, National Communication Authority, HEFRA, which is Health Regulatory Agency, Health Facility Regulatory Agency, and then the Ministry of Health itself. We collaborate with them and ensure that whatever it is to enhance the implementation, we do to achieve that. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see other questions, so we come to the end of this session. I would like to thank again our guests and presenters, Dr. Bassem Bouaziz, Bernau, and Issa. I give back the floor to Frederick, who will manage the rest of this webinar. So you have the floor, Frederick.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, and thank you indeed to our speakers. Actually, the last presentation here around the regulatory environment brings us quite nicely to our next speaker, that is Andre Visser, who is a partner at DLA Piper in South Africa. And they have actually set up, even already some time ago, but now also developed it into a sort of interactive online tool that provides information on global telehealth regulations, legal aspects, and so on in specific countries. And so Andre will share with us some information about that and about their overall activities in e-health, in digital health. So with that, I hand over the floor to you, Andre, and look forward to hearing what you will tell us.
Thanks, Frederick, and thanks for the opportunity. I'm quickly going to just try and share my screen, so just bear with me for a moment. Can you just confirm that my screen is in fact shared?
Yes, but we see, yeah, we see the full, yeah, now it's okay. This is it, perfect.
Do you see the slideshow? So in other words, where my cursor is or not?
Yes, we see your cursor.
Okay,
and the full slide.
Great stuff, thanks. Again, thanks for the opportunity to provide you with some insight into the DLA Piper telehealth survey and tool that we've made available. Perhaps just some quick background. DLA Piper is a global law firm, and we have representation in 40 countries across the world. We've been quite fortunate in that we've been recognized as a legal leader in the African continent, specifically this year being awarded International Law Firm of the Year in the Africa Legal Awards, which just indicates the breadth of the service and the capabilities that we have on the wider continent. Of those 40 countries, we have representation through DLA Piper Africa in 20 African countries, and therefore we are constantly looking of ways and means of developing tools and knowledge that would be relevant not only worldwide but also for the African market specifically. Now, telehealth services and our telehealth guide is an initiative from our life sciences sector, and it is one of the areas that we've seen worldwide from a legal perspective that has shown quite a significant amount of growth. I'm sure, as everyone realizes by now, specifically COVID-19 has just accelerated the interest and growth of that particular field from a legal perspective. And we've certainly seen it on our side as well, where we've had quite a number of requests and instructions to address a variety of jurisdictions, including a number of African jurisdictions. Now, what our telehealth guide does is that it provides an online portal through which anyone can access the information for a number of countries that is made available for free, and you can merely read through the particular information of the country, or do a comparative analysis on the website itself, or even just download a PDF summary of the telehealth regulatory environment in a specific country. The idea with that is to provide a fairly quick overview of the telehealth and e-health provisions that would be applicable in the relevant countries, and make it easy to at least make some in-principle decisions insofar as operating or providing services in a particular jurisdiction is concerned. Now, the telehealth guide itself covers 52 jurisdictions across the world, and we currently have 8 jurisdictions situated in Africa, being Morocco, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Burundi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. Obviously, we are continuously working and updating the guide so that we can add more countries as we go along. And specifically from an African perspective, we want to expand the offering to not only refer to the current 8 jurisdictions, but to have a much wider application during the next few months. If we specifically look at what is covered within the telehealth guide, it is divided into a number of sections, which I have highlighted on the screen. The first one addresses the specific regulations that would apply in the jurisdiction. So it is a brief summary of what, if any, specific e-health and telehealth regulations are in force, and how they are enforced, and at what level. Then we also address the particular fields of application. So depending on the country and jurisdiction, it may be that the e-health regulations are only specific to certain fields of practice or health, and not to others. So therefore, we also provide an analysis of the particular fields of activity that would be covered by the e-health regulations. The third aspect that we consider is the costs, and with costs, it is mostly an analysis of the cost to end customers. So in other words, is it government sponsored? Would there be some support from public health authorities to be able to utilize these services? Or is it done via private funding or insurance, or any of those types of mechanisms? And that also provides an indication to third parties that want to join the or want to provide services as to what the general principles and approach is in that jurisdiction. Importantly, then, privacy and data protection rules. All e-health related services do also create a number of privacy and data protection challenges. In most African jurisdictions, the privacy and data laws are not as well developed as, for instance, GDPR in the EU. However, there is more and more regulation that is taking place in respect of those areas as well. And insofar as it has application to e-health and the teleguide, we then also provide a short summary of what is allowed and what is specifically regulated insofar as privacy and data protection is concerned. Quite importantly, in addition to that, also the specific requirements for cross-border data transfer. In most instances, the difficulty with data protection measures relates to the transfer of data cross-border, and specifically where you have jurisdictions where health services are being provided and are sorely needed. If those services are being provided from offshore and not within the country itself, that in itself may also create some challenges on a data and privacy perspective. So we also do an analysis of that aspect to give an indication as to whether there are any issues that would relate to that. Data security requirements, again, hangs together with data and data protection and ensuring that whatever the applicable rules and regulations are in that particular jurisdiction, that there's an indication of what that would be about. And then anticipated reforms. If there are any particular legislation in the pipeline or envisaged for a particular jurisdiction, a short indication and summary as to what that could be. So all of that information is available online in the tool and can be accessed fairly quickly and readily, and even compared over some jurisdictions to the extent that it is necessary. Some of the challenges that we've found in doing an analysis such as this, and also the reason why perhaps for African jurisdictions specifically, we are still working on getting more coverage, is due to the fact that health regulation in Africa is not uniform. Every country has a different set of rules, and some of them are quite widely divergent. I mean, just from a pure historical perspective, you have some countries with English law influences, some with French law influences, etc. And those legal systems do not always follow each other, and therefore, from a uniformity perspective, it is quite challenging to provide guidance on each and every jurisdiction, because you need to go and specifically investigate the position and see what is applicable and how it works. Most African jurisdictions also follow the trend. So in other words, they are reactionary in providing regulatory support for new developments. So insofar as e-health is concerned, it's a fairly new development, specifically in the African regulatory perspective. And therefore, there are also jurisdictions where the provisions that are implemented sometimes are more of a stopgap than trying to deal with it in a material way, which also creates its own challenges insofar as trying to establish exactly how they fit together and how they work. It's unfortunately also true that perhaps the countries that would need these types of services and regulations are also the least regulated. You would have seen from the list of countries that I mentioned that those are arguably the more prominent jurisdictions on the continent, and those jurisdictions where one would expect there to be some regulation, although some of the other countries where there may be more of a need at this stage may not have specific regulation, which does make it slightly more challenging to give out a specific indication as to what the applicable position would be in those specific jurisdictions. But obviously there are also countries where progress has been made. Again, the countries that I've mentioned all have some kind of regulation of e-health and telehealth services, which does help. And specifically in times where COVID-19 or just the general access to health is quite challenging, and it's not always possible for individuals to have access to specialized medical services, it does help, and there has been some progress made. Obviously, normal infrastructure and communication equipment challenges are there. There are always those kinds of challenges which perhaps are not a legal issue, but more a practical item to consider. But again, I think that all just adds up to making the analysis of what is applicable in particular jurisdictions a bit more challenging at the best of times. But yeah, that's a quick overview of the DLA Piper telehealth tool. It is available on our website. Any Google search will immediately bring it up, and you can go and have a look and see how it interacts. And obviously, to the extent that there are any more complex or specific questions, even in respect of those jurisdictions where we may not have prepared a specific guide, we will obviously always be prepared to assist and provide answers where we can in respect of those jurisdictions. Yeah, thanks. That really is the information that I wanted to share. I don't know if there are any specific questions that anyone may want to ask.
Thank you very much, Andre, for this look at your DLA Piper telehealth guide, and then more specifically what you have so far in Africa. I think, well, certainly one of our aims will be to see where we can also contribute, bring information together, because certainly policy aspects and with that the legal frameworks, etc., is one of the topics we're also looking at and we're addressing within BETTEReHEALTH. As I mentioned before, within the project we have partners in 4 specific countries, 4 African countries, which were not yet part of your list of 8 jurisdictions that you are already covering or providing information on. So that may be something we can look into, but also wider into other African countries. There might be things and forces we can join in order to bring that information together. And I think indeed, yeah, legal and regulatory aspects have always been and still are among the challenges for, you know, a useful and valuable e-health and telehealth implementation. We see that within this BETTEReHEALTH project, but also, for instance, within the global network of the International Society for Telemedicine and e-health, in which DLA Piper is also a member. These questions come back quite frequently. You know, what is the exact situation in country X, Y, or Z? So an initiative like this can definitely help. And as I said, with BETTEReHEALTH, this is also something we're looking at. I see Kostas is raising his hand. I'm just going to make one more point in that we were talking earlier also with Salim, who's also on the call here today from WHO, and who are setting up or who are have set up the Digital Health Atlas, which provides an overview of e-health, telehealth initiatives. And they're now also specifically looking for input from stakeholders in the field around the pain points and the challenges with very specifically telehealth use and implementation. And I think one of the things there is probably also going to be related exactly to legal regulatory aspects. So again, this may be something where with you and the information that you have and some of the experiences that you have at DLA Piper, can also bring useful and good information forward that that can be useful for that as well. So, but I'm going to hand over to Kostas, who also has a question or a comment to make.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the very interesting presentation and for the work you've done. It seems a very useful resource, and I agree with Frederick that we offer to help you at least to cover the 4 participating countries, because we also we're looking forward to see how you see the regulation in these countries with your expertise. As I said, I have many questions, but to start with one is, do you think the e-health policies and national strategies from the countries would address these issues, or it needs a more like a wider regulatory intervention, or I don't know how is it called, to address all the other issues related to personal data protection and national healthcare systems?
Yeah, thanks for the comments, and we will certainly be quite happy to assist in updating where we can and where information is available. To answer your specific question, I don't think there's an easy answer to that. The regulatory regime, specifically in African countries, obviously would stand subject to each country's individual regulatory system. And it is sometimes quite difficult to try and get to any kind of regulatory reform. I mean, even if one looks at countries that may be regarded as a bit more advanced in respect of certain aspects than others, you still see that if you compare to what is happening in the EU or in the US, that the jurisdictions are lagging quite far behind. However, having said that, where there is not specifically a regulatory environment, that in itself also creates an opportunity, because that means that there's at least not something that would prohibit making these kind of services and assistance available. So therefore, even in situations where there may not be something specific in place at this stage, I don't think that it would necessarily detract service providers or NGOs or anyone else that wants to make these services available to do that. But it's always useful to at least just know and understand in that particular country what the position is and how to manage that.
Okay, thank you very much. Just want to mention that I did put in the chat the direct link to the online tool, the telehealth guide, so people can easily check it through the link, and we will definitely also be sharing more information on that through some of the project channels, and also, well, keep an eye out for updates and other countries being added. And as we said, and as Kostas also confirmed, definitely also look at what we can do to bring information together from some of the other countries. I think also referring to the presentation that came just before yours, also yesterday we heard a couple of things around regulation and data data protection issues in one of the presentations. So there is indeed a lot of knowledge out there and initiatives that we can also bring together. I see one more question here in the chat. Telemedicine is the application of digital health systems. Is it mandatory to prepare a separate legal framework for telemedicine as compared, I guess, with general digital health legislation? I mean, do you have any specific let's say views or comments on that, how it relates to a specific framework or regulation around telehealth, and more widely around maybe health information systems, data sharing? Is that something you've been looking at or that you have encountered when you were working on setting up the guide?
Yes, thanks, and a very good question. So to give a short answer to the question, no, it's certainly not mandatory to have a separate e-health system or e-health regulatory environment. But where it is helpful is where the normal regulatory system does not accommodate or make provision for the provision of e-health services. So for instance, there's an interesting example in South Africa where there is a fairly sophisticated normal health regulatory system, and it is quite well regulated. However, when you apply the provisions of the normal regulatory system, it prescribes that only South African registered health practitioners may provide services. So that in itself means that to the extent that a health professional wants to provide e-health services into South Africa, and that person is not registered in South Africa as a South African health practitioner, those services cannot be performed, because in terms of normal regulation, that would be a contravention of the applicable South African rules in respect of health practitioners. So that's an example of where intervention would be required to try and manage that position, because otherwise you do lose some of the benefit that you can actually have, where what you want to do is to put people into contact worldwide with health practitioners that can assist under certain circumstances. So although it's definitely not mandatory, it is helpful in jurisdictions where there are certain obstacles in the normal regulatory system to provide these types of services.
Okay, thank you. And there is one more in the Q&A window around, it's from Flora Aza, who is asking, in those particular countries, who do you work with? I assume this is related to the countries you're already covering, and how exactly you put that information together, what the sources are, or where you get it, where you get the information from.
Yes, so I'm specifically the author of the South African chapter, so I contributed to that. Insofar as the other jurisdictions, whether Africa or any others, we use our DLA offices in those specific countries to provide the information. So the source is specifically the legal practitioners in those jurisdictions that would provide the input on these specific questions, and then we compile it into the guide. So all of the information that is presented through our online tool has been prepared by DLA Piper professionals within the specific jurisdictions.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution to our event today. As I mentioned, I think we will indeed definitely continue to be in touch on this topic, to see where we can contribute and how, and also keep sharing the information around the telehealth guide with our network. With that, I thank you very much, Andre. Feel free to stick around, or otherwise we'll definitely come back to you later on, because we will also have some specific topical webinars into the next year. So that may again be an opportunity to pick this up at a later point, and maybe see also at that time what the evolution has been, which countries have been added, and so forth.
Thanks very much, and again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. So now we have a very short break foreseen in the program. I suggest we just take 2-3 minutes to stretch the legs and get a refill of our drinks, and then we continue with a presentation from the Sfax Health tech cluster in Tunisia, which will show us a little bit what they are doing within that cluster, how they collaborate with whom, and how that ultimately is also beneficial for e-health development, e-health implementation within the country. We'll just take a 2-minute break, and then we'll start off with that presentation. Okay, I think we can move on. As mentioned, we will now have Mohamed Karat from Tunisia, who will bring us an overview of what they are doing at the Sfax Health Tech Cluster in a way to collaborate and to move e-health forward. So, Dr. Karat, if you are ready,
yes.
Then I invite you, okay, perfect, to indeed share your screen and give us your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. the Chairman. Thank you very much for giving me this chance to present my presentation entitled Collaborating to Move e-Health Forward from Sfax Health Tech Cluster Perspective. Myself, I am Dr. Mohamed Karat. I am the former president of Sfax Health Tech Cluster. So here is the agenda of my today presentation. First, we will present Sfax region, then Sfax Health Tech Cluster, the cluster's activities, future projects, as well as the impact of COVID-19 on the cluster and some case studies of our members' projects. Let me first introduce the region. So the region, as you can see here, is located on the center of Tunisia with the beautiful shores. We have a very nice island called Kerkena, as you can see here in the picture. Here is a satellite image of the city. Here we have the city port, then the colonial city, the very beautiful Medina on this square, as you can see here on the picture, and the modern city. So the city has a very long history, and it has been built over the remains of old city of Taparura, Roman city. So you can see here we have marine salts industry. We have also two big area. Maybe these two area are one of the weakness of the region of Sfax, which is the pollution. We used to have a lot of factories related to phosphate processing. So fortunately, these two industries has been closed. However, we still suffering from this mountain of phosphogyps, and also fortunately for this zone, it used to be a Swedish company processing phosphogyps, but it has been also closed. And thanks to generous support from Europe, this region has been depolluted, and all the phosphogyps which used to be here has been collected on this area, and hopefully it will be change the city to a more a greener city. Here is some pictures. You can see here the Medina of Sfax, the colonial city, and from here the modern city. The city also is very well known for agriculture. What you can see here as the dots are actually olive trees. In Sfax, we have millions of olive trees, beautifully like lined, as you can see here on the picture. So from there, we extract very nice, very healthy olive oil. We have also the largest port in Tunisia, port to catch fish, and which could be sold in one of the largest fish market in the Mediterranean Sea. We have also very, very good and nice culinary traditions, especially with the sweets. And we also have some even very unique dishes, actually. These very unique dishes, which we eat when we celebrate Eid every year in Sfax, which is a very sweety sauce, which you consume with salted fish, which is usually grouper fish. But since this fish is very expensive, nowadays we try to reduce the price by importing cod fish actually from Norway, salted cod fish from Norway. I know that there are some friends from Norway, so every year we enjoy the cod fish from Norway in Sfax. Also, the city is a fashion hub. We have many industries related to fashions. Some startups also are rising, like this startup is developing luxurious eyewear from wood, and they export it across over the world. The city is also known for the leather product. Here is the world's Guinness records for the biggest shoes here in Sfax. And we have also very good industries, especially related to manufacturing of real estate industry. So we have ceramics, woods, one of the largest actually real estate and trade fair is held in Sfax since 30 years. The city is also the home of one of the largest boat making factory in Tunisia. We are proud to produce one of the first largest military boat here in Sfax, which is the first of its kind in Tunisia to control and patrol the Sfax region sea. We also starting some services industry, and we have here, you can see some large companies such as Telnet Group, which has office in Sfax, which has produced the first satellite for remote sensing in Africa, and especially dedicated to IoT. And we have also some companies doing some advanced testing for cars for Europe, for companies such as BMW, with company Primatech. This Sfax is also a healthcare hub. Actually, we have a very, very active faculty of medicine and many clinics. And so far we have 11 clinics and 11 public hospitals, including 3 university one, with multiple clinics and pharma business. And this make the city very attractive for tourists from the region to come for medical tourism. We have many people coming from Libya, for example, to get cured here. The Sfax also is very well known for its very high quality education system. Historically, we used to have in Tunisia one of the oldest university in the world. It's Zitouna University, which is based in Tunis, but have a branch in Sfax. However, unfortunately, this university, due to many circumstances, has been witnessed after the independence. And now we have more modern universities. We have the University of Sfax, which have over 30,000 students and over 2,000 staff members, and also multiple new active private universities with high collaboration with North America, such as IIT, ISP, SPM, and Polytechnic. The city is also the home of 3 research centers, CRNS, which is the Digital Research Center, the largest in Tunisia, specialized in ICT, the home also of a biotech center, CBS, which is also very active in the biotech field. And since the city is the home of the largest number of olive trees and olive processing units, so it has also Olive Research Institute. We also have the Sfax Technology Research Park, where CRNS is hosted, which aims to attract companies overseas to open offices in Sfax. Some statistics about Sfax, even though that we have just about 10% of the population, Sfax has been first ranked in the baccalaureate degree since 1970, and we have over 50% of large corporation CEO are originally from Sfax, even though many of them decide to leave Sfax, and we will explain more about this problem. We have also over 50% of cardiologue and orthopedy doctors, and 33% of chartered accountant are originally from Sfax. Despite all these advantages and rich history, Sfax is suffering from a lot of problems recently. We have a big problem related to garbage management, traffic jam, despite we have a lot of promises from central government to create metro, but we have a lot of delays regarding to this project. Problem related to phosphogypsum mountain that I showed previously. Problem to explore the new zone, the Taparura zone. We have also problem related to the escape of talent going to overseas, and recently the region also became, unfortunately, a hub for illegal immigration. So a local think tank in Sfax called BETTEReHEALTH worked on thinking how to make the region more developed. And in 2014, we have started focus group with a strategic board, and we have studied a lot of, we have tried to think about new strategy for the region for 2030. The strategy consists on trying to find a new area, which is a new area which we need to develop, which has a high added value, which help retaining talented people and developing the city. So after a lot of effort, we come up with the idea to work on health tech, and we have shared this vision with decision maker to convince them about our idea and other community. And we have launched into 2018 our cluster, our association, the Cluster Health Tech, with the presence of representatives from EU, World Bank, Ministry of Health, and also with partnership with the Medic Alps in France, in Grenoble area. So the cluster aims to create, to help boosting this sector in the region by promoting innovation, creating business opportunities, encouraging collaboration, and promoting the competitiveness of companies. So the cluster aims to develop these fields such as medical equipment development, digital health, telemedicine, and medical imagery, biotechnology, and pharma business, even though pharma business is very challenging now to work on. So here is our community. We have a very diverse community of members, including companies in different fields. I will present some of them. Here, for example, we have Clinicis, which is the national leader in providing software for clinics, software management for clinics. We have, for example, Steros, a local startup, which become SME, which developing traceability system for sterilization instruments. We have also medical devices company producing centrifuge machine and other equipment related to medical field, such as dentistry. We have also research partners in public universities, research centers, and institutions. So here is the cluster activities. Actually, following the creation of the cluster, we has been accepted in the projects, in IRADA projects, which is EU backed projects aiming to promote regional development. And the project actually financed a new study helping to prove the work that we have done. So the EU asked us to prove that we really, health tech is really something which can work in the region of Sfax. So Professor Dominique Fauré from EPFL, who have developed a new method called Smart Specialization Strategy in Europe, comes to Sfax and has met with a different ecosystem component, and we together proved that the health tech has a chance to emerge in the region, and we have identified different components which are needed to create an ecosystem helping emerging this field. So the ecosystem requires the establishment of different components such as a fab lab, incubator, and accelerator, and data center specialized in the field of health tech. I will potentially talk more about these points. So here, for example, if we look for the process for developing innovative product, we have to go from idea to identification, to idea validation, to prototyping, to product development and production. And for idea identification, we have started our meetups. I will show some of the picture. For idea validation, we have started hackathon, which is a competition for innovation in the field of health tech. And for prototyping, the EU project supported us to create what we call Fab Lab and incubator. So the Fab Lab is a fabrication laboratory to help innovators to manufacture their prototypes. And we are working now on creating our accelerator and seed fund, which will help us to finance the development of innovative projects. And we are also working now on the development of our local specialized investment fund to invest on these startups. Here we can see example of a hackathon, which is called Hacking Health, which is an international movement. This is actually one of the biggest hackathon in Tunisia. We have here the meetup, which is being done on the Faculty of Medicine to attract medical students and encourage them to join the hackathon. We also have some special seminars, which we hold them either at Tunis, in El Ghazala Technopark, or in Technopole Sfax, to promote our startups. Well, now I'll talk about COVID-19. COVID-19 is pandemic, but for us it was an opportunity actually, because some people did not even or hesitate to support us, or thinking that Sfax should work on other fields rather than health tech. Then it comes COVID-19 pandemic, and the cluster health tech has supported several initiatives, which has proven that Sfax really could be the capital of health tech in Tunisia. And here we can find some of the initiatives. This is, for example, the facial visa developed here on the Fab Lab. You can see here also the facial visa in plastic, developed using injection molding with collaboration and local industries. So far, hundreds of thousands of these units have been developed in Sfax and distributed. Here is some prototype of a respirator or a reusable mask. Also, some startups have developed some innovative projects, such as this oxygen concentrator, which has been, which is a very high flow oxygen concentrator, which can go up to 20 liters per minute, and which has been designed to meet the critical condition of weather condition in African continent, such as high temperature and high humidity. You can see also here another startup called Amaltech, developing a virtual rehabilitation solution, mainly which help accelerating the classic rehabilitation process, and could also help treating people based in a remote area. You can see here another example of a collaborative project between CBS, which is Biotechnology Research Center, a research laboratory at engineering school in Sfax, and startups in Sfax. The projects aim to develop an application to track the progress or the increase of the number of allergy cases in Tunisia. And this is an example how these three different partners, laboratory in the field of ICT, startup in ICT, and biotech center, could all work together. So the way forward is for us is to work together. I thank all people working on BETTEReHEALTH project, because it helped us to better understand e-health policy in decision makers in Tunisia. And we are looking to create a new partnership with Africa and Europe. We would like to share our experience, learn about other partners' experience, collaborating together in business through visits, mutual visits, and why not working on mutual innovation projects on promoting startups in the field of health tech. And thank you very much for your attention. Here is, you can find my email, or cluster email, official cluster email, Facebook page of the cluster, and the cluster health cluster website. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for this overview of the health tech cluster in Sfax, and even more widely what is happening in Sfax, and all the nice things that are being produced and provided in your city and your region. It is indeed good to see that the health tech has been recognized as a sector for economic development, and with all these different initiatives in terms of hackathons and meetings and supporting startups and so on. I think you have indeed been working very hard on that. It's also good to see that there is, let's say, EU-Africa collaboration through projects or in direct initiatives, like you mentioned, the collaboration with Medicalps in France, the collaboration with EPFL, and so on. And then obviously bringing together industry, partners, companies, businesses, and research organizations, educational institutions, and so on. I think this also runs a bit like a common theme throughout Better eHealth. It is indeed about collaborating to move things forward, and that is collaborating locally, regionally, with the stakeholders, but obviously also more widely across borders, national borders and continental borders. So this certainly is a good example or a good case study that can serve as inspiration for others in other countries. I don't see any direct questions to your presentation. If anyone still has a question or a comment, we have a hand up here from Kostas. So yes, please come in, Kostas.
Thank you, and thank you for presenting your city. And since we cannot visit it for now, it's very, very useful for us to understand the context. But we also see you as a good example of this collaboration between universities and the industry. In our project, we also have discussed the quadruple helix, where in addition to the academia and the private industry, we have the government and we have the civil society. And I would also like to ask your opinion about that, and like how is the collaboration there, and how this can be better, especially towards improving e-health, but also other activities of your cluster.
Thank you very much for the very interesting question. Actually, we have managed to create the cluster thanks to the support of the local think tanks, which is a NGO, non-governmental organization, which has very solid networks with the civil society. And so these think tanks actually survey what's the needs of the civil society, the needs of the city, and try to come out with new ideas, new technologies, or new projects to help promoting the region. So I can say that the cluster health tech is the outcome of the needs of the civil society, because Tunisia, the main problem of Tunisia right now is the economic problem related to the decline of the Tunisian currency. So more and more people, especially from the region of Sfax, are deciding to move outside Sfax, going to Tunis, because the quality of life in Tunis is better due to the better infrastructure. Sfax, unfortunately, has been suffering from the centralization system, which is centralized in Tunis, in the capital, for many years. And more people now are, unfortunately, immigrating to EU or Europe, and leaving the city with a lot of people, especially not well educated, could not find enough projects to work on with a good salary. So many of these people select to illegally immigrate to Europe also to get the better conditions. So the idea is to keep these highly talented people here in the region in Sfax, to create a new innovative idea. So this new innovative high added value idea will keep people at home and will help create new jobs with better salaries. This is our strategy for 2030 for Sfax.
Thank you. Paul Pelsmacher, you also raised your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mohammed, for this very interesting presentation. Reason why I want to say something is, some of you know that I'm very involved in e-health programs and startup programs. So I'm very delighted to hear that you have such a good program to support startups in your health tech cluster. The one short question would be the funding of the programs that you offer. You mentioned you have the Health Hackathon, which is, I think it's the same as the Canadian hackathon. But it started in Canada, and it crawled across the globe, I think. But what ways did you find to fund all those activities?
Thank you for the very interesting questions. Yes, it has been always a challenge for us, especially as a young organization, to finance our projects. For the hackathon, for example, for instance, we rely mainly on sponsors from telecommunication companies to support us. But for the other startup activities supporting program, such as the incubator, accelerator, and investment fund, they are actually in progress. We are actually negotiating with a large investment fund in Tunis to create a branch in Sfax to finance the incubator and invest in the accelerator and provide enough follow-up funding. And this is quite challenging because most of the investment funds we have in Tunisia and innovation program, they are focusing on classic, or let's say not classic, but easier startups projects related, for example, to web development with less risk. Generally speaking, health-related startups are more risky and more costly to develop and requires longer time, longer process, more IP protections. And right now we don't have any specialized fund or specialized accelerator in Tunisia which provide technical assistance for these startups. So the idea here is to bring this fund here in Sfax and create a special one, taking in consideration the very particular aspect of health tech. And hopefully this fund also will sponsor the early stage phase of the startup related to, for example, incubation stage. We'd like to provide free grants for startups at early stage to develop their startups or their idea, and then get investment from accelerator or investment fund. And we hope that this model will take in consideration all the challenges related to health tech industry. And we hope that this will help again create new champions in the field, in the region, and help promoting the employment in the area.
Yeah. No, thank you for the answer. It all sounds familiar. So it's not only for Tunisia, but getting startups funded is also here in Europe a very challenging endeavor. It's very interesting, and I can imagine a couple of other things. One of the reasons I wanted to join the BETTEReHEALTH project is because I wanted to explore possibilities for startups to land on the African continent. So I have a lot of startups that we could bring together with you or with other startup hubs in Africa, and vice versa. If you want to bring them to Europe, let's see if the BETTEReHEALTH project can help with that, or if that would be a separate thing. Let's see.
Definitely. This is amazing. This is really what we are looking for. Yeah, we really hope that the partnership of the health tech cluster, we'd like to have this win-win situation where our partners can get benefits from the Sfax health tech cluster, helping promoting their technology here in Africa. Sfax could be for them living labs to test their technology in Africa, and vice versa. Our startups in Sfax willing to enter to the large European market and certify their product and get access to the financing here in Tunisia is, I think, much more challenging than in Europe. So I think this will be also opportunity for them to get access to financing from investment firms in Europe. Yeah, it will be really nice if we can collaborate together and helping promoting startups in our both ecosystems.
Yeah. Well, so last comment, don't underestimate the challenges we put startups, we put in front of startups to get finance. It's not here, it's not as easy as
yes, it's everywhere.
Not very easy. So let's continue this one-to-one and continue with this webinar. Thank you, Mao.
Yes, let's keep in touch, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, and another question that was asked is, what kind of response have you received from your or for your eHealth program or apps? So I assume, yeah, what has been the success rate, or maybe some specific success stories of startups or of certain apps or other tools or technologies that were developed through some of these programs, incubators, and so on. Do you have any, precise details or some examples maybe on that?
Yes. Actually, I have tried to mention here some success story. All these startups are now raising funding actually from investors, and they are approaching investors. They receive multiple awards actually, recognizing the quality and high level of their innovation. And some also of our SMEs actually are expanding overseas. Here, Steros has been in Medica to Düsseldorf to promote their technology in Europe, and this company also Clinicis is expanding in the MENA region. And regarding the project that for the app. Yes, it's the project. The application is actually development is actually in progress. So we hope that it will be released within the middle of next year, and we hope that it will receive a lot of downloads. Actually, the needs behind the development of this application, that in Tunisia we don't have any statistics about allergy. However, we know that allergy is growing exponentially, not only in Tunisia, but also in Europe. And no one knows why, but, or many, we have some, we know a little bit, but we are not sure what's the main reason. But in Tunisia, we don't have any official statistics about allergy. So the idea is to finish the development of this application, deploy it, and having people downloading the application. And while downloading the application, they will mention if they are suffering from particular allergy. So then when they scan the barcode of the product in the supermarket, they can alert them, the app alert them if it contains some ingredients which has some allergic content which may harm their life. And I mentioned this example because it showed like the collaboration between a research center, research lab, research center in biotechnology, research lab specialized in big data and data analysis, and a startup specialized in ICT. So, but again, the moving from startups projects to big corporate, this is a long way. So what we are doing now, we are trying to create the ecosystem. We don't have a really big success story. Let's say like we have some SMEs, we have some startups received multiple awards recognizing their innovation, but our job is to create a very nice ecosystem for these startups to become a local or regional hero.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think, yeah, there are no further specific questions for you. So thanks again for presenting the Sfax Health Tech cluster. And of course, the cluster is also a direct partner in BETTEReHEALTH. So there will be a lot of other and additional opportunities throughout the next year for all of us and for our participants to engage and interact with you, and then also for you to reach out to others in other countries, also in Europe, to set up collaboration, exchange, etc. Also coming back to the topic of funding, not only funding of startups and businesses and so on, but more generally of e-health and telehealth programs, national programs, or just within certain institutions. This is, of course, also one of the hot topics, and that continues to be a challenge in certain cases. This will also be something that will come up, and where we will work with certain funding agencies, economic development agencies, but also, let's say, larger corporates who have funding programs or interests to collaborate on certain implementation projects. So all of that will certainly also be part of one of those upcoming webinars that we will start organizing in 2022. So again, more details will be shared with all of you about that, and then hopefully we can have contributions. I see a hand raised here by Flora Asa. I will give you the floor, so feel free to open your mic and address your question or comment.
Mine is more of a comment. Mohammed, thank you so much for your presentation. And, you know, brain drain from African countries to Europe, it's in search for greener pasture. It's a major challenge facing many African countries. And taking the e-health and technology as a strategy, I hope it's successful, and that is it's something that is could be emulated by many other African countries. Thank you for your presentation. Over.
Thank you very much, Flora, for your intervention, and really we are looking forward to collaborate, to have a bigger collaboration with African continent and with your country, and please try to feel. Please try to share with us if you know any cluster in your region. Please try to connect us with them, because we are really willing to increase or broaden our networks of collaborators. I would be really grateful if you can keep us in touch with any local clusters specialized in health tech or ICT, so we can collaborate with them.
Sure, we'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect to see that there is some networking and matchmaking going on here. Wonderful. Again, this is also a part of our aim and remit with BETTEReHEALTH. So we will continue to do this by way of meetings and webinars and exchanging information online with you. With that, we're nearly getting to the end of this event that we were holding over 2 days. We have seen and heard some wonderful presentations. We've had some interesting questions and discussions going on. The topic of the BETTEReHEALTH registries and regional e-health hubs, which was mentioned in the program, we actually already addressed that in part at the start of the session. So I just want to repeat that on the one hand, yes, our various partners in Africa have set up these regional e-health hubs. And so these are meant to bring together all stakeholders, from industry to research to education to policy and authorities to obviously healthcare professionals and providers, to join forces, to come together, to share the knowledge and the experience, and to look at better e-health implementation, better e-health policies, and so on, to ultimately come, of course, to better health outcomes and better public health. So that's what we're doing with these hubs. We encourage you to reach out to us, to join these hubs, to join their activities, to provide your input, and like what we've just seen, to connect with each other and set up partnerships and collaborations. The e-health registries, those will be registries, online registries with information about e-health solutions and e-health policies. So also there, we definitely encourage you to engage and interact with us, provide information, provide input. But we will, again, over the next weeks and months, also share more information with all of you and with our networks, so that there is indeed a more concrete way to provide that input, or to join us at certain events where we will be looking at those registries and bringing the eHealth hubs together. That's it from my side. With that, I would still like to hand back to our project, Better eHealth project coordinator, Kostas Antipas, for some final words. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick, and thank you and Paul and all the partners that work together to create this very interesting program, and being so flexible to from starting organizing a physical meeting to actually manage to organize in a short notice a digital meeting. It has been 2 very interesting days for me. We heard both from our partners, but it was very interesting to hear from the partners of our partners, from collaborators of our partners, what is happening in African countries, in the participating countries, but also other countries, and also to understand bit better what we should do the next the months that we still have in the project. We have a challenge to also adapt also the rest of the project to not have physical meetings. We still hope at least for one physical conference at the end of the project, in which we invite you all to join if it's going to take place. I think the most realistic approach is what you, Frederick, mentioned, and we have discussed, is to start organizing webinars on a regular basis and allowing for a discussion on extensive discussion on the issues. We also have the project has already submitted to the European Commission some deliverables. For example, stakeholder analysis and standard and report on stakeholder analysis in the 4 participating countries: Tunisia, Malawi, Ethiopia, and Ghana. Stakeholders of eHealth. We have also looked at the interoperability and the standards in the standardization in the 4 African countries. Soon we will publish also this deliverables, these reports, so everybody can have access to them. And in December, January, we will have more deliverables coming up, hopefully some publications from the project, and we will also, I hope, as they come up, we will have some discussions around them. Until then, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to all the partners for the important job they do for this event, but also for the whole project under not always the best conditions. It's a project where we haven't met physically. We haven't get to meet each other at all. But I still think that we do quite well. We have done many meetings. We have done a lot of activities, many workshops, local workshops, and it's also something we should invest even more. Yes, this is also from me. Thank you very much for the good collaboration, for the good discussion in this webinar. And yeah, we hope to see you in our next meetings.